And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Shunting Yard. I'm James. I'm joined with Rob. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
And this week we have the privilege of being joined by our first technical international guest, RJ of RJ's Trains, all the way from the East Coast, I'm going to say, of the United States.
Yes, I'm from New York.
Oh, there you go. Welcome, RJ. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's an honor to be on. I've loved listening in on the podcast when I can.
No, we appreciate it. I need to check because I know you're on the East Coast. So do you catch snippets of the live streams if you can, but do you watch the VODs? Like, do you watch it back later on?
Yeah, usually if I'm on the train home from work or whatever, I'll put
Awesome.
on the hour or so that I missed because it
Oh,
starts
fantastic.
at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Usually, if I'm not busy at work, then I'll have it in, one headphone and listen in. But usually, I'll tune in for the last half hour or so, and then I'll go back and watch snippets of the rest that I missed.
Amazing. No, well, we really appreciate that, mate. So thank you. And yeah, again, thank you for joining us. So who have we got here today? We've got Charlie. So my screen's a bit bigger now, so I have to look slightly further over. So please don't shout at me. So we've got Charlie joining us from Hooter to Model Railway. Thank you very much. We've got Jakub. Ciao, Jakub. We've got 3B. Phil's here. Phil, I hope your dad's doing all right. Let us know, please. I hope for a speedy recovery. Max is joining us. We've got Train Guy in as well. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to preface this now. If you've got any questions specifically that you would like to ask RJ, get them in the chat. I'll get them saved, and we'll start rolling on those later on. So, it's been a while, Rob. We haven't been on one of these for a few weeks together now, right? Like properly. We did last week. Did we do last week?
No, that was me and Dan last week.
It's been Dan last week. See, it's been a while. Hey, Matty, thank you for joining.
Yeah, I think the last time me and you were on like this was before I went on holiday. We were talking about nearly 2 months ago.
Oh yeah, blimey. Okay, how have you been, mate? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and it's been all right. Yeah, things have been going well. Things, especially hobby wise, have started to be on the up and up, which is great. And yeah, it's great. It's just honestly, Thursday night is one of those things I look forward to, speaking to you guys, speaking to our guests, and yeah, I'm happy. It's really good. Really good. How about you, mate?
It's been a few hectic weeks. I did some traveling last week. Come back this week with traditional post-traveling illnesses. Getting prepared for parental duties for the next 9 months. So, yeah, been fun. What about you, RJ? What have you been up to recently? Done anything exciting in the last few weeks?
Nothing crazy. I just came to the United Kingdom and spent 15 days riding pretty much all over the country, up and down, east and west, and going to a ton of heritage railways and doing all the things that 5-year-old RJ wanted to do. And now that I have adult money, I was able to finally do them. So I got home 6 days ago, definitely still dealing with a bit of jet lag, but what an awesome trip. I'm really glad I was able to do it. And I know you guys touched on this last week, but it was really cool being able to go to the Severn Valley Railway and be able to meet guys from the chat and, names that you see in the Discord, but, it's nice to finally put faces to names, and all the guys at the Severn Valley Railway were really awesome. So that was really cool to be able to experience in person.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I can imagine. I also want to be able to do what 5-year-old me wants to do, and exactly that. So we have to live and hope. Hello, Oliver. Thank you very much for joining us. Peachy's in the chat as well. Hello. So actually, we have a first question. I'm going to go for this one now because we're on the subject. Peachy wants to know if you went to North Yorkshire Moors.
I did not, and I guess to get the question out of the way before everybody asks if I went to their favorite heritage railway, I went to 7 in total. I'm going to butcher the names of probably half of them, so deal with it. I'm American.
You got Edinburgh right. We're okay.
Okay, good. So I went first to the Bluebell Railway for their 65th anniversary gala, which was awesome. First time being able to see a terrier like under steam, so that was really cool. I went to the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway. I went up to Avamore in Scotland for the Stratha whatever railway. Um, Severn Valley Railway, the Tallyclin, the Festiniog, and then I ended with the Spa Valley Railway.
Lovely. That's a very decent roundup, I would say.
7 heritage railways in 13 days. So yeah.
Oh,
Plus that
living
You
the
went
includes
to a
getting
dream.
few
to the
museums as well, though.
yeah, and then I also went to the National Railway Museum in York as well as Locomotion up in Shildon.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
yes, yes, Dan. Yes, Dan. He's he's of course talking about Didcot.
Yes, yes. I passed Didcot on the train, heading up to the Severn Valley. So yeah, I should have stopped. But I guess it's on the list for next time because every time I explain to people which heritage railways I went to, they're like, "Oh, you
Mhm.
need to go that one." I've got another 2 weeks of heritage railways added to the list that I need to visit. So I guess
We're looking
I
forward
don't
to
know if
having
I
you
can
back in country.
yeah, I don't know if I can
Well,
convince my girlfriend for a 2 week trip going to nothing but heritage railways, but we'll see what we can do.
the thing is, RJ, we have nearly 150 individual heritage railways in the UK, so you're gonna have it's gonna be a regular occurrence, I think.
More than 2 weeks.
We might need to start a GoFundMe like Hilton.
I actually have no idea what that's up to now. Can somebody in the
No,
chat find out how much Hilton is up to on that? I'm very curious. No, amazing. We're very happy that you enjoyed yourselves, of course. And yeah, Rob, you'll have to tell me from experience. What was it like meeting everybody and meeting RJ as well at the Severn Valley Railway? I wish I could have been there, honestly.
it was a great event. As I said last week, how pleased I am with the turnout, the people that came, and it was just one of those kind of things where where you don't have high expectations for it because obviously we're only like 6 months old. This project that we're doing together,
Mhm.
and to see that many people come together. I know RJ kind of got trapped in it because he was in the area anyway. I was going to meet him, and then I kind of launched this idea on him. But for 12 people to turn up for our first one, that's pretty damn special. And
Yeah.
I can only hope the next one goes as well. But we'll see, won't we?
404 for Hilton. There you are. We're
I
getting
can't
there. We're
commit to
getting
the
there.
next one, Rob.
What was that? Sorry?
And why not?
I said I can't commit to the next one.
You'll have to let us know when you're coming back over, and we'll sort it out. Maybe Didcot.
Oh,
It sounds
Didcot
like I
needs to
have
be
to
done.
go there, or else my life's going to be threatened.
Yes, yes, it does.
No one's going to threaten your life. We may hurl abuse, but that's probably as far as it'll go.
Well, I come from an Italian American family, so that's usually where threats start, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talk
yeah.
down from.
Okay,
You'll find a
okay, that
horse
sounds
head in
good.
your bed.
That's a bit pushing it. That's probably pushing it.
That's like
Okay,
Italian mafia stuff.
let's swiftly move on. So before we jump into the news, I'd like to know what you guys have been doing this week. So have you managed to do any modeling? Rob, I know you've managed to do some modeling.
I've done a lot this week. I've managed. I was about to say before we go on to this bit that my brand new wagons had just come in along behind Tom Rolt, but they've derailed in the corner over there. Tom Rolt's still running, but the wagons have derailed. So
Is that those
Yeah.
new brass bearings you spent money on?
yeah, they are. They've derailed on the points. But
Oh,
in other news, Tom Rolt's running again.
oh fantastic! Yay! Moving on.
Yes. So, but that basically all I've done. I've sold a few things as well. So I've made some siding space for something else that's in the works.
Lovely. Okay,
So yeah.
we'll look forward to that. RJ, what about you, mate? What have you been up to?
So I got back Friday. Saturday I had a family event. Sunday I had a family event, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday I had work. So I've I've had no time for modeling since I've gotten back. But
Wow.
I've started working on a video of all of my adventures, my 13 days worth of adventures, and then I realized it was going to be like a 2-hour video and extremely boring. So we're doing a director's cut of just the 2.5 days I spent in Wales, and then maybe later on, if that video does good, we'll release videos from a couple of the other places that I visited. So I'm
Sure.
working up editing that video, which I guess isn't technically modeling. But hopefully that video will be out tomorrow. I guess the only
Oh,
modeling thing I
fantastic.
did was, and I'm skipping ahead to one of your pre-planned questions, so
That's
sorry.
fine. That's fine.
So I picked up this 7-plank wagon, Dapple O gauge, when I was at the Bluebell Railway, and naturally it was broken out of the box. So I had to do
Dapol's finest.
yeah, so I had to do some super gluing, and so I guess that's the only technical model work I had to do,
It,
as
it, it
well
counts.
as yeah. And this locomotive arrived when I was in the United Kingdom, so that was great. My parents got to take that box in off the stoop and see how much I paid for it. So I got to run that around the layout a couple times, but I guess nothing too exciting.
No. Any sort of modeling is exciting. No, I resent that comment. Oh, fantastic. Well, I spent some money while we were
Oh no.
while I was out. I bought a new locomotive. If it doesn't hide me, thanks to the non-green screen, I bought a Rapido 4400 DC, not DCC sound. I very much regret that, but I will update it later. And all I've been doing is shunting with it. That's all I've been doing for the last week and a half is just shunting, which has been fantastic. I've been doing some recording as well. Just getting caught up on some schedules. yes, Max, it's Rapido product placement. I have to, I kind of have to. We are, we do have a rep as part of the group, so so yeah, just been trying to enjoy my downtime because it's all been work recently. So anyway, sounds good. I hope you get out of your jet lag phase soon and you can get back to some modeling. I really hope for you.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Well, let us know in the chat what you guys have been up to as well. If you've bought anything new, bought anything recent that you've had to fix out of the box that was made by Dapple, because I've had to do that in one of my recent purchases, as you'd all know. But moving swiftly on, it's time for, he says, going back to the first slide because otherwise everyone will see what's going on. The news.
The news.
Listen, you better be on your sofa with Annie watching this on the big TV going, the news! Jakub, I would love to have done some international modelling, but have you seen the prices of Slovak models, even in TT120? Yes, I was looking at TT120 for international modelling. It's extortion! Anyway, moving swiftly on. So, there isn't much news, surprisingly, this week.
Bit low on the ground this week.
It's a bit low on the ground this week. I'm expecting stuff to come in the next few weeks. We've got Rapido Rail-X is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. I've just done that, Dan. I did that without reading your comment, all right? Chill. Chill. So yes, Rapido Rail-X is coming up in a few weeks. There will be something announced there. My guess is it will be something Scottish. Because why not? They seem, people seem to be going mad for Era 2 Scotland at the moment. But the first thing we have, the Hornby 00DP1 Deltic. There's some new images, or at least there's this new image. This was sent out into the inbox. I thought this would be appropriate because it's the most American looking British locomotive in the entire universe. So I had to put this in the news today.
I see it now. I see it.
It's the front. Just look at the front, and it's these stripes and this big, the circle where the lamp is, and that whole front end just screams America.
Yeah, it looks less like a Deltic to me now, more of an F40.
Actually, yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. You've ruined it for me now, James.
Greetings, Dadified. So, yeah, this is the Hornby 00. This is their top of the range model. DCC ready is a nail biting $349.99 recommended retail price. So you're looking at around 20% down at the retailers, and sound fitted is only 40 odd, 55 more if my math is right. So that's HM7000 TXS sound, $404.99.
The £50 price difference between DCC ready and DCC sound isn't bad at all. That.
Well, yeah, but you've got to remember that you're paying HM7000. It's not an ESU lock sound decoder. It's not a Zimo MX decoder. It's HM7000, which I'm not knocking. I personally love the HM7000 decoders, but that's why the price is only 50 quid more, because retail prices for those are only 65, 70 quid.
I genuinely, looking at that price, it just screams that's the future of DCC, doesn't it? It's just well, £50 sound chips would be absolutely amazing.
Well, you say that, but I think in the case of when it comes to Bluetooth, they're not the first on the market by far. And I know that there's an American company that has been very heavy on Bluetooth decoders for a while, and we're going slightly off topic, but you've got the Blue Nami decoders, which have been around for a long time, I suspect.
We're going to circle back to that.
Yeah, I think we can circle back to that, because I'm assuming you have some experience with Blue Nami decoders. So I hope otherwise we're just tangenting
with them. So yes,
there we go. Yes, I know it's Tsunami, but they call their Bluetooth-ready ones Blue Nami. See, I know American stuff.
Yes, James is correct. I'm backing him up with this.
Have we got a backseat driver here or something?
We've got two of them. Max is here as well. Okay, moving on. Something for you 009 fans, and also you Trains with Faces fans as well. So there's Sir Handle decorated samples and box samples have come in. And I mean, it looks like a 009 locomotive. I'm a bit annoyed that they've only done Sir Handle and haven't done Falcon. Like, come on. Like, it's right there. Just change the name. Yes, Sir Hayden. Yes, I know that, but they're doing the Trains with Faces version. I don't know if they're doing a non-Trains with Faces version.
They will eventually. They always. It's how it goes. They tend to.
They did Star-Loey first, and then they did Talaclin, didn't they? So my guess is
they announced Sir Hayden in 009, at least here in America.
Well, I think this is a Bachmann USA announcement, but Bachmann Europe have announced that they're going to be stocking it. So I think that there was a discrepancy beforehand, and now this is a bit more. Yes, they are announced in January. See, there you go. I don't follow 009 if it's not Vale or Rydell. So if you want to get hold of a 009 Sir Handle, you can pick it up DCC ready for $145.96 at the retailers. Moving on, I picked this specific image for Hilton.
Hilton's there rubbing his legs
because it's got a little resty on it. So there was a new series of images, decorated samples for the Class 104, and I really like this livery, like stupidly like this livery. Yeah, Scotland.
It suits the 104 so well, doesn't it?
It's a pity that I think they've only got them in the 2 cars. What's that hanging out the back of the DMU? I also would be very interested to know what that is at the back. I didn't notice.
It's got a tail.
You mentioned it. Well, it is a Westie. But yeah, so these 104s, they're getting ramped up for production, and you can pick up a 2-car set for $389, and a 3-car set for 489 recommended retail price. Go and find your stockist if that's what you're after. Oh, look, another 00 model that's more expensive than HO. Is that the game we're going to be playing now, Jakub? Really? It was a one-off DMU for the Oban branch. Great. Hellion quality assurance at its best. Don't start with quality assurance. I've had enough of QA for the last 3 weeks. Why is it so expensive? Get an O-gauge loco instead. I have no idea why it's so expensive. Ask Hellion. My
In
guess
all
is,
fairness, you could get a Hellion Class 37 for that price in O-gauge.
well,
So-
they've recently shown that they've got the some dual head code versions coming for the O-gauge, and I think it was
They
like
have.
450 something. You know, like so. I don't get it either. My guess is Hilton already has one of these on order.
He does.
Wrong. Moving on. So the Hellion have been busy, apparently. So the Class 44 Peaks have got some artworks, and there's an engineering sample that I didn't get any photos of. I only saw the artwork bits. They've got 7 different livery types here, which, if you're into Peaks, they might be up your alley. I don't know. But you can pick them up for 219 DCC ready and 329 DCC sound. It's all about the new 33s. Well, are the new 33s, have they been announced or are they coming?
There's been nothing from Rails about them.
Then there is this thing. Now, ignore the pricing. I put it there just because I didn't want to change the slide, but I did this at the last moment because I mentioned it to the lads. And I thought, what the?
That's a really good looking peak.
It's a great peak, isn't it? It wouldn't be a me hosted stream if we didn't have mistakes thrown in just to be measured. I hope you got the color samples of the Lord. No, because I didn't get. I have no idea that exists. Rails didn't tell me, and neither did Hornby. I looked through my emails. I haven't seen anything. Link me down and I'll go find it. Anyway, so this is our first G-scale announcement that Bachmann decided to throw up on their Facebook page this morning. It's a self-propelled two-axle driven egg liner. I have no idea what an egg liner is. Can anyone enlighten me as to what this is?
So Bachmann had this idea years ago to basically take 2 ends of an American observation car and put them together, because if you look at it from the top, it looks like an egg. So the first one they ever did was decorated like an Easter egg to run at Easter. You know, something fun for the kids to run. And since then, it's evolved into 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas, every other holiday you can think of. They do them in O-gauge as well, but
right,
yeah, they're something.
Okay. Dan is saying it was an AcuraCraft idea. It was an Aristocraft idea. What?
Yes, yes, and I believe Bachmann bought Aristocraft like a decade ago.
Okay. Hang on, Dan, stop typing in capitals, mate.
It looks like he's shouting.
He's shouting.
Can you just imagine him shouting at his screen?
It's because he's being lazy and he doesn't want to join this week. So, right, here we are. You've not seen an egg liner. It's only been around for 30 plus years. The egg liners have a collector following, and they got the tooling from Aristocraft. That's the long story that Dan gave me. No.
In all fairness, Dan, he did actually ask us for input this morning.
Yes, Bachmann are really spoiling it. Yeah, Dan is Dr. Eggman.
See, Bachmann give us this shit, but no NG7 locomotives.
Hey, watershed boy. And I think that's it for the news. That genuinely is all I have this week. Apparently, there were some decorated samples of the Saint. I haven't seen them. I've been busy. Some of us.
James would have been very excited if he saw them.
Yes. I would have been very, very excited. I'm still waiting for the Steam generator announcement because I know it's coming. Matt, you've just acquired some G-scale track. Does that mean you're going to be buying an egg liner for Halloween?
He should. He should.
This is Bachman's best Rail 200 item. +1 has not seen Atlantic samples. Atlantic samples would be good, but wait, hasn't seen non-Atlantic sample. Oh yeah, okay. I'm getting it. Oh my days. Dan has decided to jump in to talk to us about egg liners.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You missed the point.
Are you seriously going to talk about egg liners and then bugger off?
Because it's a good story. You never research anything. Basically, years and years ago, Aristocraft made these streamlined coaches, and they were made out of aluminium, and they could share tooling from coach to coach. But when it came to making the observation coach, it cost so much to do the tooling, they needed to offset the cost somehow. So someone in their office thought it would be a good idea to get the two back ends of the observation car, put them back to back, and put them on an Alco F unit bogie. And all of a sudden, there's an egg liner. You can put it in all sorts of different liveries and sell loads of them and offset the cost. So anybody who's got an Aristocraft or Bachmann set of G-scale coaches with an observation coach, the only reason you got that observation is because the egg liner exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where he logs off.
Yeah. No, now I've set you straight on that. You can continue getting things wrong for the rest of the day.
I have only got one thing wrong.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's gone. I knew that was going to happen at some point. Tom Marshall, thank you very much for joining us. How was the pub? What did you have for dinner this time? Peach, that's perfectly
that was
fine,
brilliant.
mate. Thanks for joining us. I look forward to your next video. I've just binge watched a load of yours, so I'm looking forward to what's coming up. Newt, I've never seen RJ without his Acela pullover.
So I wear it in every video because algorithm likes it for whatever reason. and it's so dumb. Like, this is like things that you think about when you're trying to get views in a YouTube video, is like appearing the same in every single video actually helps with like audience retention and stuff like that. It's like people tease me all the time, RJ, do you never change? And it's like, no, the pullover sits on this chair. I put it on when I start filming the video, and I take it off as soon as I'm done filming the video.
That's brilliant.
But it's too toasty down here to sit in a long sleeve pullover for 2 hours. So that's why I'm in my current outfit.
I can imagine, yeah. YouTube randomly showed me my first RJ Trains video a couple of days ago. Well, that means the algorithm is working.
Hopefully it was a good video, Tom.
Yeah, let us know which one. Let us know which one. That would be interesting.
I saw it, guys. This is terrible.
Well, Peachy says wash once a month, ?
Yeah. You know, for the 5 minutes that I wear it when I make a video each month.
maybe that is the actual ticket. It's just wear exactly the same thing every time you're recording.
You know, it's pretty impressive.
The algorithm will do it for you.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive. The shirt stands up on its own at this point, which is amazing.
Oh god, no, that's the average exhibition. Yeah, let's not get into exhibition hygiene. Let's go back to just with
back
it.
on
RJ.
topic.
Just with it. Yeah, so today we wanted to bring RJ in because one, we wanted to get an insight into him as a modeler, as a YouTuber, and also as specifically 3-rail O-gauge modeler, which is something Rob and I have little to zero experience with.
But I've taken the piss many times.
That's what we do, isn't it? That's all we do. So RJ, I'm going to hand it over to you. Please, can you give us a little bit of background on you, your modeling history, where you got started, and just let's just roll into it. We'll go for a conversation.
Yeah, so I guess as a formal introduction, hi everybody. I'm RJ from RJ's Trains, and I am a three rail American O gauge modeler, which I think are all curse words to most British modelers: O gauge, three rail, and American. So it's really an honor to be on tonight. Um, so I started off in the hobby like most people, I'm assuming, who around my age, in their 20s, is I grew up watching Thomas the Tank Engine. That led to getting a G scale Thomas the Tank Engine set.
Wow.
And then somewhere down the line, I got a VHS tape, which was basically a compilation video of a bunch of three rail O gauge trains, Lionel trains, running around, layouts to kids' music. And that's what got me hooked on O gauge trains. I really wish that VHS tape was HO scale trains to this day, but here we are. That year for Christmas, I asked Santa, I want a Santa Fe F3 War Bonnet train set, and it was underneath the Christmas tree that year, and that was 20 years ago this year. So,
Wow.
I've been through my ups and downs. Obviously, middle school, high school, college, your attention focuses elsewhere. But during college and after college, um, I got sucked back into it as a way to cope with homesickness because I was living down in Washington, D.C. I'm originally from New York, as well as my job is railroading adjacent. So it's my career too. And so I find it extremely fascinating. So I do what's called three rail scale ish. So it's even though there's three rails, I try to make it look as prototypical as possible to what's out there in the real world.
Mhm.
And in addition to my American locos, I've also started expanding my collection with some international ones. So I actually have two German steam locomotives, as well as three British locomotives, and another two on pre-order. So we're building up the
Wow. Okay.
international collection slowly but surely. I guess that's a little
Fantastic.
rundown about me.
Amazing. No, I think I can safely say that yeah, a lot of people have been in the same boat. It's a common story, coming up with the trains with faces. Hilton gets a bit aggy when we mention them, so Tom's happy. We can keep Tom happy. That works for us. Um, but no, I think a very very similar story. But I'm very curious. So, what do you do for a living? Actually, you say it's railroad adjacent. So I'm very curious. How it
So
links to you and how it motivates you. Is I think
so
what I was looking
this
for.
is this is a Shunting Yard exclusive. I've never posted this publicly on any of my social
You
medias.
don't have to.
No, it's all right. So I mean, if anybody watches my videos after like three of them, you can guess what I do. Um, but I work for Amtrak, which is the National Passenger Railroad of the United States. So they do all of the intercity trains and cross country trains. And my job specifically is trying to start new train services across the country.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why if you watch my videos, I'm usually wearing that Amtrak polo we were joking about earlier.
Mhm.
I've got an Amtrak locomotive sitting next to me here on the layout, and I've got a lot of Amtrak in general. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm in an office. I'm not working with the real trains, but I work adjacent to them. So being around them so often reignited my interest in
Gotcha.
railroading when I started interning there back in college.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, I thought there would be an Amtrak link there. Maybe I assumed it was because you commuted. I thought maybe it's something that you see constantly, so that's why you had a lot going there. But no, fantastic. Sorry, my head is all over the place. Trying to, as I said, it's a completely new topic for me. So I don't know where this honestly. I've done a little bit of research myself. But Rob, you've done a little bit more than I have, and I think you've got a few questions that we want to go through with RJ. So why don't we start off with one or two, and then we can work our way into some of the photos of your layout that you have given us.
Well,
Yeah.
calling it research is probably a stretch. But one talking points that I want to go about is we're going to bring. Let's get it out. Let's get it out of the way early. 3-rail. Why does it still exist in this day and age over 2-rail?
Because it's the superior track system.
Oh,
There's a reason why Hornby started with 3-rail track. There's a reason why Markland still does it in Germany for HO or double O or whatever the scale is there. It's because you don't need an electrical engineering degree to be able to wire a layout. If I want to have a reversing loop on my layout, I don't need to add block sections and detectors. And I think I forget his name. I think it's the model railway guy. He's building the modular layout of
yes,
his representation of Audrey's Farquhar layout. And watching him like do all the isolating blocks and track separation, it's like, that's insane. With O gauge, you don't have to worry about any of that at all, really. If you're operating all digital command. So like I can just put track down, put in the wires, and that's it. I don't have to worry about anything else. And yeah, does it look stupid that there's a rail laying in the middle of the two tracks? I guess. But if you ride a train, sometimes they have the rails laying in between the two rails because they're going to replace them, at some point in the future. The London Underground has a middle third rail. So, I've been doing 3-rail for a while now, and you kind of lose track of the third rail after a certain point. But the other reason why it still exists and it's so prevalent is because American O gauge is dominated by people who are older, baby boomers who were born in the post World War II era. And that's how their trains came. So when they got older and retired and got back into the hobby, they wanted to be able to buy O gauge trains that were compatible with their trains from childhood.
gotcha.
And that's basically why 3-rail is still the dominant force in O gauge in America as opposed to 2-rail. Although 2-rail is starting to come on the up and up again.
I was gonna say 2-rail does exist there, right? Like
2-rail does in fact exist. Actually, this locomotive here behind me is a 2-rail locomotive. And all it takes is 2 screws and I'm able to run it on and throw one switch. And I'm able to run it on my O gauge track.
Okay.
So the difference is that as I just demolish the layout. So for 2-rail trains, the front pilot is attached to the front of the locomotive, which makes it look more accurate. Meanwhile, on traditional 3-rail locomotives, this front pilot is detached. It's attached to the wheel set, and this allows it to go around tighter turns, which, because O gauge is so large, a lot of people don't have the space for the big curves associated with 2-rail models. But yeah, it's nice not needing an electrical degree. It's nice not having needing an electrical degree. Although freaking Rob has got me on the NG7 track. So I guess I'm going to have to learn 2-rail wiring sooner rather than later.
If you're just doing a loop, it's just wires to one section of track and you'll be going. So I wouldn't worry too much about the complexity of that.
Yeah.
Don't tell them we use multiple proprietary digital systems.
Yes. Well.
Oh God.
Well,
so we don't.
No. Carry on.
I was just going to explain what Newt was saying. So in O gauge, we have 2 big companies. One is called Lionel, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of before. mainly from Sam's Trains reviews, just absolutely thrashing them. And there's another company.
Everybody.
There's another company called MTH Trains, and now there's a third one called Atlas. And basically, in the 90s, when DCC was becoming a thing, because three rail O gauge trains run on alternating current and not direct current, DCC didn't necessarily work.
Mhm.
So Lionel created their own digital command system, and MTH created their own digital command system that now Atlas also uses. So basically, to control your Lionel engines, you need one digital command system. To control your MTH engines, you need a different digital control system. So I have two different remotes with two different receivers to be able to operate
Wow.
all of my trains.
Rob, could you imagine having to buy one system to run your Hornby, your Hellion locomotives, and another one to run your Dapol locomotives? I could not imagine that.
That's
I just wouldn't
exactly
run
what it's
Helgen.
like in America.
I could not imagine that at all.
That sounds a bit mad, considering we're kind of spoiled, aren't we? I suppose, where we can run everything off one system.
And so what a lot of
Within
people
reason.
are doing now is getting back to Blue Nami is they'll buy older used models for cheaper. They'll rip the electronics out of it and they'll put in those Blue Nami decoders into these O gauge engines. And this way they're able to have better sounds because both of Lionel and MTH just recycle the same three sounds for all their locomotives. And, they have more sound features and they're able to just run it off their phone. They don't have to worry about having all these different control systems.
I mean, that's a step in the right direction for sure, but I mean,
It
at
stinks
least
that there's no real, off the shelf solution to being able to
Yeah.
operate both.
do they not have to do? This is completely off cut. So I'm guessing this means that each company has their own decoders, right? That work only
Yes.
with their track systems. I'm assuming.
No, it's just with their control systems. Tracks interchangeable.
It's just they can. Okay, because I'm just thinking of how obviously some of these decoders and things and the control systems they have to be NMRA standard, right? I'm assuming that's compliant in the US. So surely there should be a way to be able to run everything with one control system, like if they were all standard.
There is a theoretical way to run everything with one system, but you lose a ton of the features by doing that. So you can run Lionel engines through MTH's system, but you still need to have the Lionel base wired to the MTH one. The thing about O gauge in America is they just kind of ignore NMRA standards.
It sounds like it.
Just because it's so different than HO.
Yeah.
So NMRA standards aren't really a thing in O gauge. The NMRA has a thing called like the superior modelers, or like I don't know. It's you have to do all these crazy things like build a locomotive from scratch and build a freight car
I've
from
seen
scratch.
Model Master levels and things like that. Yeah, I've
Model
seen
Master. There you go. And in the history of the NMRA, since they've been doing this, there's only been like 8 O gauge guys who've actually done it.
Oh wow! Okay,
that just shows you how much little
They
there's
care.
overlap with NMRA and O gauge. Yeah.
I must admit that this is the first time I'm hearing this, and I'm absolutely baffled by it. I really am. Please at least tell me they're inexpensive.
So today, well, the trains themselves or the control systems?
No, the control. So for example, you've gone out and bought your Athern, your Athern locomotive. You have to now go. You haven't bought an Athern locomotive before, and to run it, you now have to go buy the control system as well. How much is that control system?
So if I were to go out and buy a Lionel command control engine, ignoring how much that engine alone costs, now with inflation and we made this joke before getting on the before going live, but Lionel is the Hornby of American O gauge, like been around. It's been around for forever. It's the name that everybody recognizes, but they definitely push it with their prices when their quality isn't necessarily all there. That's my assessment of Hornby from my perspective, from what I see online.
Accurate.
So that command system now today, there's a couple of guys in the chat who are American, Datafied, Matty C. I believe the control system's in the neighborhood of $450 to $500, which in fake British money, I believe, is around 375 quid. So
Jesus.
I'm sorry, what?
that's just to be able to run your trains with all the features that it comes with from the factory.
Oh. And you're telling me that there are 3 different systems?
My Prodigy Advance only cost me 150 quid.
So obviously, it's a one-time expense. You don't have to buy a new command system every time you buy a locomotive.
Well, yeah.
And Lionel, as Datafied pointed out, you don't need to buy the control system. So all of Lionel's trains come with using British terms, a Bluetooth decoder. But the Bluetooth app doesn't allow you to unlock all of the features the locomotive has unless you have the control base. So you can still theoretically... Yeah, so you can theoretically run it, you can blow the whistle, you can ring the bell, you can play some sounds, but there's a ton of features that you can't unlock unless you buy this control system.
So Lionel is pay to win.
I mean, so is MTH. MTH's system is probably around 250 quid for their control system as well. So if you have an MTH locomotive and a Lionel locomotive, which I do, if you were to go out to the store today to buy the command systems, to be able to run both of your locomotives from different brands, you're looking at spending, let's see if I can do math with half a cider down, in the neighborhood of 700 quid.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
That's around $800 to $900.
Steve has got this right on the nail here. It's worse than being trapped in the iPhone Apple ecosystem.
Well, and that's the thing now. Now they're going away from tactile remotes. If you buy the current control systems, you still control it through your phone, through an app.
Right, okay.
Which for me, I use my phone to film the videos. So unless I go out and buy a tablet or something, I can either run my trains or run my videos. So thankfully, I have the older versions where I can, be a grandpa and have my 2 remotes and run my trains.
Yeah, no, I understand that issue. Being someone that controls their layout with an app, I can understand that issue. It's why I'm so glad I have many, many, many old phones. But I just still can't get round. I understand it's a one-time expense, but a control system should be a single one-time expense. I'm so baffled by the idea of having to have multiple systems, or at least to be able to fully unlock the potential. You have to have multiple systems. That just baffles me. That's like saying you want to play a video game on the Xbox, but you can't actually properly play it unless you buy a PlayStation. I can't wrap my head around it. I do not envy you, my friend.
Well, at least they're one-time expenses, and I've made those one-time expenses. Plus, I made those purchases a while ago, pre-COVID, so they were a lot less in price. Compared, less than half of what the prices I'm talking about now. So, it's a real deterrent to people who are fresh into the hobby. But, I guess I'm doing it right because I've got it.
No.
I wouldn't say I'm a bad ambassador. I was just saying I'm a realist.
No. I think the situation is just really that bad.
In fairness, RJ does state it in his videos on the catalogs and his unboxings and things like this. He says the truth, and he says exactly what he thinks. This isn't anything new to me who watches videos anyway. That You know, he's going to say how it is, and if it's shit, he's going to call it shit. So
Rob, that's
that's
twice.
that's the New York Italian attitude, and I'm really thankful to have the platform that I do. I'm closing in on 9,500 subscribers on YouTube, and I think like 2,800 on Instagram. And at the end of the day, my voice is still extremely small, but you know, it's not like Lionel's going to sue me for defamation. They have bigger fish to fry. So, if I can try to use my small voice to hopefully make an impact and make a change and telling it how it is instead of, just being all happy hearted, like, oh, yay, we're getting new
pandering to
trains.
them.
Our
Um,
resident British critic has recently slammed one of the biggest manufacturers in the UK, and as far as I'm aware, he hasn't been sued yet. So I think you're fine.
yeah, yeah. I do know. I do. So I made a video. So Lionel releases a catalog, where they announce, 3 or 4 new diesel locomotives, 3 or 4 new steam locomotives from rolling stock. They do that every January and every July.
Mhm.
And so one of my videos usually does about 2 to 3,000 views. And my catalog video last January, um, got like 15,000 views in a week, which is really good for American O gauge.
Insane.
So the next week, I went to an exhibition, which all of Lionel's top brass was also attending. I definitely got a few looks walking past their booth, and one of my
Oh,
buddies went to talk to them, and he's like, "Yeah, we watch all your videos about the catalog," because they know I'm friends with him. So
yeah.
that was kind of pointed at me. So at least I know they're listening to me. Not that it changes
That's
anything.
great. That's fantastic to know. Honestly, I think that's good for you, man. Good for you that you've got a company like Lionel watching you. That's insane. So I'm going to tangent slightly, and we'll go through a few questions that some of the audience have passed on to us, and then we'll go on to another one from Rob. So
Sounds
Oliver,
good.
first thing he's asked is, do you agree the S100 and the S160s are the best American engines?
Yeah, the
I
American
don't.
locomotives that never operated in America and only in Britain. Um, I wouldn't say they're my personal favorite locomotives. Do I think they're really cool? Yes. And actually, there's a lot of people in American O gauge who are clamoring for one to be made. There's one made by a Czech company called ETS, but there's a good chance that one might actually be made in O gauge. And with my British collection, how do I say no to one if one's made?
I did not know an ETS a S100 existed in O gauge,
Maybe
and
it's
it's
the
two rail.
S160. Yeah, I think they made it. You can get it 3 rail as well. ETS, you
Can
have
I
the
just add,
option of ordering. Yeah.
Minerva have just released a S100 as well in O gauge 2 rail.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I know we'll get into this later on more in depth, but there's really only one specific track system in 3 rail O gauge that's suitable to be able to operate 2 rail locomotives, which I have, but a lot of people don't have. So like going through the process of converting 2 rail locomotives to 3 rail like I do, isn't a possibility for a lot of people. So they're really hoping that an American 3 rail O gauge company makes one, which may or may not be in the works.
So just so you guys can see this, this is a 2 rail O gauge S100, €569, and that's
Mere
without
pocket change.
that's without any of the additional extras, plus 270 for DCC sound. That's
The Minerva
insane.
one's only £525, I believe, DCT sound fitted.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah,
Don't tempt me.
ETS is tin plate, so it's not as detailed as I'm sure the
That's
Minerva
true.
models one will be.
That's true. Okay. Perfect. No, thank you, Oliver, for that. Let's move on. Max asks, which do you prefer, the F40PH or P42 from Amtrak?
So, very controversial. The F40 is one of the most beloved locomotives in American railroading, period. But my love of Amtrak really only revolves around the period of time that I've worked there. So that's since 2020. Um, so the P42 has been the workhorse locomotive of the of Amtrak, in that time period. So I would say I'm more of a fan of the P42s, just because that's what I, see very often. I think I've got 5 or 6 different road numbers and paint schemes of the P42. I do have one F40, but yeah, definitely more of a P42 guy, which is very controversial.
Okay, perfect. One more from Tom. So we've just mentioned ETS. So do you think Lionel should have an option where you can order the locos to run on 2-rail, like ETS trains?
So Atlas O, which is like they're Lionel's main competitors, really, as well as MTH. MTH and Atlas I don't know how to describe it. They're kind of like in a situationship where like they're dating, but they won't admit to it. Um, like they're in bed with each other, but everybody knows it, but
They haven't
they
been
won't
caught
admit
at the
to it.
Coldplay concert yet.
Yeah, exactly. They're going. They have tickets, but
They've got tickets, but they haven't been caught yet.
so um, so definitely they offer all of their locomotives in both 2-rail and 3-rail, which is what this is. This is a 2-rail locomotive that I've 3-railed. MTH does it for some of their locomotives, but Lionel has flat out stated that they don't believe there's a 2-rail market, and the time and energy it would take to invest in the technology to make the wheels. Also, MTH and Atlas's control system is DCC compatible. It's basically a DCC decoder that was designed to work with AC power. So with MTH and Atlas, they don't have to pay for a DCC system. Lionel would have to pay a DCC company to use their technology.
Okay.
So, I mean, it would be nice if Lionel offered that option, but it's never going to happen.
Okay, fantastic. And then we'll grab one last one from Tom. I think this is a nice one to round off with for now. How are US modelers coping or going to cope with the? I've got 3 minutes, so the shit Gibbons tariffs coming in. As guessing most models are still made in China, and I'm assuming O gauge is still made predominantly in China.
Yeah, there's no domestic production for O gauge trains. A few things are made in Korea, a handful of things are made in Vietnam, but overwhelmingly the majority is China. And obviously the companies have responded. Lionel has pretty much raised their prices well north of what the tariffs plus inflation is. Their prices have probably gone up in the neighborhood of 40% over the last 5 years for products. And truthfully, it's kind of at a point right now where I'm not really ordering any new products, especially from Lionel, because there's also quality control issues there. I in the last 6 months of the year, the companies make their announcements, and I've probably pre-ordered 1 or 2 locomotives, if that. So, I know I've dramatically reduced my spending in response to price increases from a variety of reasons. The sad part is that after visiting the UK for 2 weeks, I want all these amazing British models. And previously, if the product was worth less than $800, you didn't pay any customs duties on it, but now you do. So it's essentially I'm still paying the VAT tax plus some. So yeah, that kind of stinks. But yeah, so a lot of my purchases are on hold until the future. I'm also at an age where like I'm saving to buy a house and like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. So like it's not a huge deal. I'm at a point where I pretty much have enough trains for a lifetime to enjoy. So, I'm not crying. Plus in O gauge, there's a lack of investment in new toolings. I think, for example, Lionel, they've announced one newly tooled locomotive in like the last 10 years, maybe
Okay.
2 or 3, and MTH none. So, if there's something I want, it's probably already been made before
Yeah.
at a dramatically reduced price.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine it's not a great position to be in. Yeah, a lot of UK customers have stopped shipping to the US
Yeah, Tom, which
because
is
of it.
upsetting because there's a ton I want to order from your online store, and I kept pushing it off. And now I'm in this situation where I physically can't order it because I know you've also stopped shipping, which I'm not upset you made that decision. I totally understand it. Um, but yeah, so once everything is back to normal in however much time, you'll be getting a large order from me.
Yeah, I think a lot of we've seen a lot of posts recently on social media from a lot of manufacturers and retailers where they basically just outright said until the situation has completely changed, nothing is going on. Yeah, so I know Matt works in shipping. So they're looking at reducing ship port calls because ships for America cost 1 million US per port call. Is that Matt?
Yeah.
This is feigning my that you're saying that for a container ship to dock in the US is 1 million, or am I understanding that wrong?
And and also part of the
It,
problem is that we're not sending anything back to China. So they basically are building new containers in China just to ship
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
to the United States. And then there's no reason to send empty ones back to China, which also
yeah, yeah.
dramatically increases the cost.
That's insane.
it just seems a bit of a global mess, doesn't it, at the moment? I know that there's a few people who in the States that they used to model British outline and now are really struggling to get hold of it for prices that are reasonable. One of our old, the Denmark one is one of those people. You know, the one who started this all with James and Hilton I. He's fully converted to American at the moment purely because he can't get British stuff without paying extortionate prices, getting it shipped in. So it's a crying shame.
Yeah,
I just want my model trains. Gosh darn it.
I
He
know,
just wants his
right?
rake of Mark Ones. Damn it!
We want stuff. No, I completely get your situation, and honestly, I hope for a positive resolution very
Rob,
very soon.
I still pre-ordered the Mark ones when I got home. Because I know Dapple will take their sweet time, and there's probably a good chance that they arrive well after all of this is situated.
Just
Oh,
watch
that's
next
hopeful
week.
thinking.
Next week, it's on the news that they're now in stock.
Yeah.
That'd
Along
be
with
sods
the
all, wouldn't
IVAT
it?
that I pre-ordered as well.
That's a little while off, but
Yeah.
I think that's slated for early next year, I believe.
It's all right. I've got a pannier on pre-order with Dapple was supposed to be delivered December of 2023. So
Yeah,
good thing I'm
yeah.
not holding my
Don't
breath for
expect
that one.
Years
miracles.
away yet. That's years away yet. Right, moving on. I found the list of questions, Rob. So, which of the O scale manufacturers do you rate the most highly, and why? So, I know we've spoken a little bit about Lionel, and I think I think we'd like to know which you rate most highly, and then we can go into mid and lower scale. So, if we start off with which you prefer.
So I definitely prefer the Atlas MTH combo. Um, Although their products aren't necessarily as nice or have as good of sound, for the price you're paying, I think it's worth the money as opposed to Lionel. Lionel, it's going to be, any high-end model, it's going to be fantastically detailed. On the extremely high-end stuff, which is called Vision Line, and ironically comes in a black box like Dapple's Black Label
Mhm.
line. I think that's what they call it. You've got smoke coming out of 6 different places on the locomotive. But Lionel just
Cool.
has so
Okay.
many. Lionel just has so many quality control issues. They've got Helen Keller who's picking out the colors at the factory. Um, I mean, every time a new Lionel product arrives, um, at least one or two of the models are painted in the color that wasn't depicted in the painted samples, not
Oh
the
yeah.
computer renderings. And I know plenty of people who ordered something that they really wanted, and Lionel ships it. The stores post pictures of it, and they cancel their orders because Lionel just got the color so wrong. And like I said previously, their prices have increased above the rates of tariffs and inflation, and it's to a point where unless it's something I know Atlas and MTH will never make, I won't order it. So yeah, I think Atlas and MTH, that's where your money's at. That's where, you get good value for what you're paying. Although their prices are also going up because they can get away with it because Lionels have gone up so much that they can also increase theirs, still be
Hmm.
10 to 15% less than what Lionel's charging, but probably still 10% more than what they should be charging. Um, And then you've got smaller companies like Third Rail, which does a lot of brass and aluminum passenger cars. They make some highly, highly detailed stuff. They make stuff that MTH and Atlas would never make with they wouldn't even touch with a 10-foot pole. So, I'm grateful for them. I have some of their products. I have some on order. But once again, it's just getting to a point where the prices are getting so high that
Hmm.
there are some trains where in the past I just ordered because that's cool, and now it's just to a point with most of them that I won't order it unless it's something that I see and I'm like, oh, I need to have that because it's something that I work with, or it's this historical locomotive that I really enjoy.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I don't know a lot about Atlas and MTH and of course O gauge in the US in general, but I have heard some good things about MTH. Um, so yeah, I think I can understand why that's preferred from your side. Um, and yeah, we mentioned Lionel. I don't want to drop you in the deep end at all. So I think we can skip past that. If you want to understand RJ's opinions on Lionel, go and watch his videos. I think, yeah, they
There's a
speak for
couple up
themselves.
there.
There's a couple up there. So yeah, for sure. Cool. Gonna do another quick question call. If you've got any more questions you want to add. Oh, look, there we are. Dan, straight away. Can you get a Cracker Barrel boxcar in O gauge?
No, but I can get a Cracker Barrel building for the layout. Although it's the old logo, so I guess it's racist. But I'll
With
see
the
if
old
they
logo.
make a new logo one.
No,
Or they
no,
might
he
scrap
wants
the
the
new
old
logo.
logo.
Okay, yeah, I'll get right on that.
Ah, perfect. There you are. Matt just wanted to say if it wasn't for 3Rail channels on YouTube, he may have never started in O gauge. JD Stux was an inspiration.
Yeah, JD is actually a really good friend of mine, one of my closest in the hobby. Um, he's an awesome guy. He's built some amazing layouts in the past, so go check out his layout. Go check out his channel. Unfortunately, he just recently moved, so he had to tear down his previous layout, and he's got a whole bunch of life things going on. So rebuilding and his layout has been put on hold temporarily, but he's probably got hundreds of videos on his channel showcasing his collection and his layout, and I highly
Amazing.
recommend you go check it out.
Yeah, if you haven't already, go and check it out. Yeah, Dadified
And check out mine.
agrees. Yeah, and check out RJ if you haven't already. Sub to RJ. Go and binge watch his videos. Like them as well. Leave some comments. It's all good for the algorithm. And do the same for us, please, on our individual channels here. Leave some likes. Smash the like buttons. We'll absolutely love it. So I think that gives us something to move on. We'll go back to your modeling. So you kindly provided us with some photos in sort of a timeline of your modeling, and I wanted to understand. Well, I wanted to see if maybe you can, give us a bit of, background on some of these images. Your thoughts and feelings behind creating your layout, and so we can get a bigger picture of what's going on, without having to
Yep.
binge watch all of your videos.
Yeah. But you guys should when
You should
when this is over.
go after this. Yeah, after this. If you're in the US, you've got plenty of time before bedtime to go and binge watch RJ's content. Otherwise, if you're British or from anywhere else, do it tomorrow.
So these first two pictures were from about a year ago, 13 months ago. And I had a layout on the existing, surface. But part of the problem is that I had two loops and they were both at the table height. And so the inside loop, the curve radius was too small to operate more than half my collection. So I could only run,
Okay.
half my collection on the outside loop. And if I wanted to run something on the outside loop, then you couldn't see what was happening on the inside loop. So, I was getting frustrated, I was getting tired, and around the same time I had moved back home from Washington DC for work. And so then I started rebuilding my layout with this two-level approach. So this way I can run trains on both loops, have the curves big enough so that I can pretty much run everything I can on both
Mhm.
levels. And this way there's no obstructed views, except when the trains are in tunnels, of what's running. So this way you can see more of the trains actually operating. So that's the begrudging plywood phase. And you can see the
No, I
scars
get
of
it.
all the previous layouts. The one
Yeah.
board goes back to probably 2006.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
so that was probably 4 or 5 layouts ago. So it bears the battle scars of the previous layouts.
Recycling is good, especially in this hobby.
Yeah, and when a sheet of plywood costs $50.
Yeah, well, don't talk to me about plywood costs. It's really not good. So one question I had after I saw this is how to be able to do an incline, how long would it have to be?
So I actually don't have an incline between the two levels because of that reason.
Yeah,
So technically, if you want to be prototypical, you wouldn't have greater than a 2%. You wouldn't have
yeah,
greater than a 2% incline. And the two levels are about 7 inches, from the top of the rail, bottom level to the top level, it's about 7 inches. So it would be technically, that would be 700 inches for the
yeah.
incline. In O gauge, you can
Insane.
push it to, 4 or 5%. So that's still, 360 inches. So that's still, what is that, 6 feet of, no, that's way too
Yeah,
much.
you need a decent sized wall to be able to
Exactly. And
do it.
I didn't have the room for it without it looking
Yeah,
dumb. So,
yeah, I
I
get that.
personally don't have any problems just reaching down, reaching up if I want to take the train off or change levels and whatnot.
Yes, Newt. We know what inches and feet are. We
Yeah, they
invented
do
them
inches, feet, and miles, but they don't do Fahrenheit. So weird. And
because
they do miles
we're
an hour.
smart. We do everything. There is a video I'm going to send. I saw a video the other day that perfectly explains how the British do measurements, and you will love it. I will send it to you. You will love it.
You
We
should
are the
have heard my
perfect
rant.
hybrid.
You should have heard my rant at the Severn Valley Railway about Celsius and Fahrenheit. And
Yeah, it was tragic.
Let's not get into that.
we,
Let's not
we
get
all
into
groaned and were like, "Oh God!"
this damn American.
that. Let's not get into that. So, talk to us about this storefront, or my assumption is this is a street front, right? With a railway
Yeah,
going
so
through it, which is very common. I understand in the US.
Yeah, so I should have sent these pictures to Rob as well, but there's a very famous railroad town down in Virginia that I visited a few times when I lived in Washington, D.C. It's a town called Ashland, Virginia, and basically they have Main Street on one side, two railroad tracks, and then Main Street on the other side. And so that was a place I really enjoyed visiting when I lived in DC. So I wanted to semi recreate that in those pictures. So we'll see it in later iterations of the pictures, but there's a roadway in between the buildings and the track, and then you've got the track ballasted. And those are Woodland Scenics buildings. So I know they're sold in the UK, but I don't know how popular they are. But they're extremely detailed. They have detailed interiors, so they look really good right up in front, where people are able to look in and see. Paint cans on the shelf,
Mhm.
TVs lit up in the appliance store, so on and so forth.
Great. Okay, no, that's fair enough. And I see here you've used. So this is another technique that I see a lot with American modelers, and I don't think I've seen it often with British modelers. Is using this pink foam core as a
Yes.
base.
Yeah, so
So-
it serves two purposes. The first is that it you can use it for sound deafening, so it helps make the trains a little quieter.
Mhm.
As well as like if you want to carve a river or a pond, or you want to do something that requires it being below track level, you're able to just carve the pink foam
Yeah.
down to the desired level. Um, and it makes it a little easier rather than cutting a piece of cutting the board itself and then doing whatever to make it work. The original plan for the layout is that I was going to have a large river scene. I'm still not totally committed to it, but that's why I went with such a thick pink foam to be able to
Yeah.
create that river.
No, perfect. It makes sense, and until I started seeing it on American layouts, predominantly there are some British and European and other Anzac layouts that I know of that do use pink foam, but it just didn't occur to me. I didn't think about it because I don't have a need. I didn't have a creative need to create something that would need depth. And if I was going to do that, I know open board systems exist. That was the other method that I was looking at. So
Hmm.
I just find it curious. That's all. I because I see it so often. It's almost like every US layout I see is built on this same pink foam.
Yeah, just
It's
about.
it's a staple. It's an absolute staple, which I love. So
It
so
also
this
helps that
here is
the pink foam is just ugly to look at, so it gives me more motivation to do
this
scenery
is
as quickly as
true.
possible.
I didn't think of that. You're not stuck with a brown plywood Pacific. You're stuck with pink
Ink.
Pacific that tells you need to put scenery on. I like that. Life hack
Yep.
if you need to get scenery done. Um,
Yeah. So this is
so
one actually. Yeah, go ahead,
no,
James.
no, carry on, carry on. I was going to ask about the bridge. So yeah, talk to us.
So the bridge part is very loosely based off of a real life town in West Virginia called Harper's Ferry, which is one of my favorite places on earth. I would go there about once a month when I lived in DC. It was like a 90-minute drive. But
Okay.
basically, it's the town sits in the middle of a fork on the river, and basically on one side of the river, it's a mountain. The train comes out of the tunnel, immediately crosses the bridge, and goes through town. And so that's kind of what I was envisioning here. Is that on the right hand side, we'll see later. I have you can actually see it behind me. But I have this huge mountain that still needs a lot of trees to go on it. And then it would go down. I still haven't decided if I'm actually going to do the river, and then it crosses the bridge, and then it goes into town. And I was able to get the tunnel portal itself custom and etched to say Harper's Ferry, just like the real one.
Okay. That's awesome. I like that. That's a
That
good
is really
story.
cool.
It's always nice when you can bring those real life elements into your layouts. So
Yeah, I So I have a dog, and so her and I would go hiking, and basically the hiking trail takes you to the top of the mountain directly on top of like where the tunnel portal is. So you can sit up on top of the mountain and watch the trains below go through town, go across the river, go through town. Um, and I could sit up there. I would sit up there for hours, just enjoying the nature and the occasional train that passed through. Um, so yeah, that was a grand old time, and wanted to recreate those memories on my model train layout.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that for sure. I'm still trying to figure out ways of bringing certain elements to my own layout. Um, so keep an eye out for those moving forward. Um, and I can see on the right there's a lot of progress here. You know, you've got the wall in behind. You know, the retaining wall in. You've got you know, vaccines coming up. You've started to get buildings on this left hand side as well. So how long would you say is the progress for this layout? You know,
So from
just
the
for now.
first, so the from that first picture to what you're seeing here, was about a total. I would say that's about a month to a month and a half of work.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Get that. Fantastic.
Man's not messing around.
Not messing
He
around
doesn't
at
want to
all.
see that
So-
pink.
No, I don't. I don't blame you. You looking at this scene here, so you can see. We'll ignore the Amtrak locomotive for now. You've got
Oh
this,
god,
like,
there's a
little
huge
theatre,
there's a huge like creature on your layout.
Yeah,
and
she's not to scale, so gotta get her off.
I mean, it depends if the scale is. If you're trying to model a Godzilla size thing, she's probably dead on scale. So, so yeah, you've got to have a mascot, haven't you? You've got to have a mascot. So I'm noticing here you've got this town scene going on here. Is this based off anything? Is this just you saw some buildings and you liked them and you wanted to incorporate them? Is it
Yeah,
from somewhere?
so the top is just more of just a generic city scene, not necessarily based off of one single location.
Gotcha. No, that's that. You know, that I think that's great, and I really like this theater building. It reminds me so much of the old style. You know, it's one of those things that if I was going to make an American layout, it would be a cityscape or something, so I could include some some buildings like this. It really is nice. So yeah, everybody's pointing out the GG1. Can you talk to us a little bit about this locomotive? Because
So the
obviously people like it.
the GG1 is a very popular locomotive in American railroading. It was the premier electric locomotive used between Washington D.C., New York, and up to Connecticut from the 30s up until they lasted until the early 80s. So they were used by many different railroads as ownership changed throughout the years. So I particularly like this one because it's Amtrak. But Amtrak had these silver, blue, and red ones with the nose was completely painted red. They were called Bloody Nose GG1s. But I like this all blacked out look and how it contrasts with the silver, red, white, and blue passenger cars. And that was only made once in O gauge. I didn't know it existed until it popped up on a secondhand train selling website. Bought it immediately, and yeah, super glad I have that one in the collection. And I also have a second one painted in the more iconic green and gold Pennsylvania Railroad.
To show you guys what he's talking about, I'm assuming that's this style of GG1, right?
Yes, that's the Bloody
That's-
Nose. Yeah,
I don't know if I like that or not.
yeah, that's what I prefer the all black compared to
Yeah.
that color.
I don't know if I like that or not. No, I'm good. I'm good with that. Fantastic. And I see we've got a steam locomotive down here.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I believe that is a Pennsylvania Railroad Decapod, a 210.
Okay.
So I live on Long Island, so aside from Amtrak, my second favorite railroad is the Long Island Railroad. And even though it says Pennsylvania Railroad on the tender, the Long Island Railroad was owned by the Pennsylvania Railroad for 60 some odd years. Actually, it's a Mikado. It's a 282. Anyways, but that was the largest steam locomotive to ever operate on Long Island.
Okay.
And it kept its Pennsylvania lettering because it was World War II. They had more important things to worry about than what it said on the tender.
Right.
So yeah, the Pennsylvania Railroad is one of those railroads that, I don't know, it's kind of like probably like GWR in the post grouping era, where like there are people who either love it or there are people who hate it. I actually very much dislike the Pennsylvania Railroad mainly because the fans are, people who like the Pennsylvania Railroad are so dedicated to loving the Pennsylvania Railroad and hating on everything else that I hate on it just to get people upset, and it works most of the time.
Doesn't
That
sound
does
like
remind
Great
me of people who
Westerners
are
at
Great
all.
Western people. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like Great Western people at all. Don't know what you're talking about.
Fuck Scotsman.
Okay, so moving swiftly on. So we can see the mountainscape forming up around around here. So I'm assuming this is your basic, cardboard struts going up and cardboard paper by the looks of things, or brown paper going over the top of it. So pretty simple construction.
Yeah, so my method that I use, which a couple of my buddies use, is that you do the cardboard lattice, the cardboard paper, and then you coat it with wood glue
Okay.
to solidify it, to waterproof it, and then you put your plaster cloth on top of that, and then use that for your seam.
Okay. Never thought about
So-
using that sort of method. I'm a chicken wire guy. I remember from building scenery in the old days, everybody who had a shed had a massive roll of chicken wire that they had no idea why they had it, but it was perfect for molding and building hills and mountains and things like that. And then you just covered it with papier-mâché and it was perfect.
If
So,
you guys
very
ever see any of my videos where the train's coming out of the tunnel on that side of the layout, you'll see behind the scenic backdrop, there's actually a roll of chicken wire behind it.
Yes. Chicken wire is great. Okay, so moving on. So we can see here that there is this, you can see the Harper's Ferry tunnel portal, which is great. I just had a look at some images, and I think that's a fantastic thing to be able to model. And yeah, you can see the plaster cloth, and you've gone for here what looks like just a straight black wash.
Yeah, so that was just the first layer, a straight black wash, which I think turned out actually pretty good. And I've gone back and I've done further weathering and whatnot, and there obviously still work to do. But at the real Harper's Ferry, when you looked up the pictures, there's kind of this rock face around where
Yes.
the tunnel portal is on the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's, obviously not an exact representation of Harper's Ferry, but it's close enough. I run my favorite saying is, I run my trains on 3 rails, so I don't have to be super prototypical.
Rule one is key with 3 rail. And so, what is this plaque at the top, just up above the Harper's Ferry tunnel portal? I can't.
Oh, so in the real world at Harper's Ferry, around 1900, a local company, basically in the middle of the night, climbed up the rock face on the mountain and painted a logo for painted an ad for their company, because who would actually go back up there and cover up the rocks with paint to get rid of their advertisement.
Yeah, I understand.
And so in the real world, it's for a company that sells toilet powder.
Wow.
Which is just a cleaning solution. Today, it's very faded because it's 125 years old or whatever.
I was going to say, yeah.
I recreated that on my layout, but instead of toilet powder and explaining the story to everybody, I changed it. It's the same style, same colors, but it says Maple's Dog Food Company, and she actually popped her head in a couple of times. And that's the name of my dog that you saw on 2 slides ago, I think. Um, and I call my town Maples Ferry instead of Harper's Ferry.
Yeah,
Um, that's what I call my layout. So yeah, so it's an ad in the same style, but it just says like Maples Dog Food Company
that's
to
great.
try to recreate the original.
That's
That's
fantastic.
fantastic. That really is. Hilt, take notes. You have to name something after Sky now. And I can see. So then on the right hand side here, this is a fantastic looking forest. I really think this is. Is this are these your own creations or are these like out of the box
No,
purchases?
so I had a friend who had finished building his layout and he had a bunch of those pre-made trees left over, so very fortunate enough. He sent them over. So the plan is for the entire mountain to look like that, completely covered in trees.
Gotcha.
I've actually bought, like the make it yourself, which is what's on top of the mountain behind me.
Yep.
And in my last layout update, I did some close-up shots of them, and they look really good. The problem is one, they're really messy to make, and two, I need to find the time to actually make them.
Yeah.
Um, so eventually, one day, the entirety of the mountain behind me is just going to be absolutely covered in trees, just like the real Harper's Ferry.
Hmm.
But that's a 1 day thing, not today. And
No,
I
I
had
get
to get
that.
Stepney in there because we've had so much American talk. So there's your Stepney picture.
You cannot go wrong with Stepney at all. No, I don't I envy you with the forestscape over the mountains. I would love to be able to replicate something like that. Maybe one day I'll be able to build my own forest on a large scale layout.
Oh Christ! You're building your own track. You don't want to build your own forest. Take you forever.
Well, we've got to wait
I
for
would take
Hilton to
building
finish
trees
his
over track.
first. Well, I don't know if I'd do that anymore. I'll get into that in one of my later videos. Don't worry.
He's got to finish his track first, RJ.
Shush you. So, moving on. So you can see, though, there's a definite transition between the granite rock and the soil, and I see that we can see the progress that you've been making on this the top face. So yeah, I think this is going to look great with the amount of trees that you want to put on it. So I can't wait to see that. Are you worried? Are you going to be putting anything specifically close? Like I can see this bridge here. Do you have any plans for any sort of supports or anything, or is it just going to be trees and some sort of
So
some
it's
sort of
just going to be
foliage to the
trees. So
side of it?
there's a 2 inch thick piece of plywood supporting it. So like I guess in prototypical terms, there probably should be a support pier halfway
Gotcha.
through, but I could stand on that and it would be fine.
Challenge. No, I get that. I think that's fine. I
And
think
then
that's gonna look great. And then
and
yeah,
then
down this side is that what is that a slot car track in the center?
so it's actually it's very similar to slot car track, but it's designed to be it's 3 rail O gauge track and it's used for trolleys.
Yes, yes.
So you can embed it in your road and be able to have a trolley line.
That's
And
brilliant.
for whatever reason, I'm fascinated by trolleys. I have way too many of them in my collection. Um, I
Are
don't
there
know, maybe it's
trolleys in
because
DC?
no, there's actually very few. There are very few trolleys left in America, but for whatever reason, I've just always been fascinated by them. So I have a few that like actually will make station stop announcements, like this
Gotcha.
street, Constitution Avenue. So I have one. I have an old Washington D.C. trolley, and it actually makes the announcement for where I lived in Washington D.C. So that's
That's
cool.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like trolleys, so that's something I wanted to incorporate into this layout, is to be able to have a functional trolley loop.
That's I love that. That's great. So moving on. So I can see here I can name at least that looks like an icon. I'm not sure if that's just a generic beetle or if that's supposed to be Herbie.
That is supposed to be Herbie.
Yes.
That is in fact Herbie.
You cannot not look at a VW Beetle and not think of Herbie.
No, it's got the 53 on it. It's got the everything. So yes, it is in
That's
fact
brilliant.
Herbie.
And then
I walked into the hobby shop.
Ford Thunderbird.
It's on the shelf.
You gotta buy it.
I believe so. Yeah. You see Herbie on the shelf, you gotta buy it. So
Oh yeah.
So I try to model my layout so I can run anything on it, from modern trains to classic trains. But for whatever reason, in O gauge, like 90% of the vehicles made are from like the 1950s to the 1970s. So
It's true.
I guess my layout's
Over
just
here
like
as
a
well.
classic car meet.
So Dan is just jumping over to this next one and is saying, is this the locomotive from the Smithsonian?
Yes, so that is Southern 1401, which is on display at the Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. As I've said like 10 times at this point, I lived in Washington, D.C., so I saw that locomotive so many times.
Yeah.
It's only ever been made once in O gauge because there's a licensing issue with the Smithsonian, and none of the companies want to pay the licensing fee. So that's actually one of the engines that have been upgraded to Blue Nami,
Gotcha.
because it was made in the early 90s before, modern command control really became a thing. So that one's got Blue Nami, a steaming whistle, and the whole 9 yards. And one of my favorites in the collection.
That's insane. Max is just saying, I've just realized RJ built the Pico NG7 coach that I designed. Nice work.
Yeah, I love those kits. I've got them painted up like the coaches and Thomas and Friends because I'm a nerd. I still have to put the roofs on them and passengers in them. But yeah, love that kit. There was a fun build.
So speaking of, so we have this really nice trailer. I really like this trailer home of the side on this siding here. Is there a story behind this, or is this just you wanted to build something and this is what happened?
So that's it wasn't a kit; it was pre-made. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. That's what dogs do. So it's a pre-made building. So like I didn't assemble it. When I was in college, I dated a girl who lived in. I want to use an American term that there's definitely no British correlation. She lived in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. Like she lived in the hills among the hill people. And
but fuck nowhere.
Yes. And that's what I was going to use, but I didn't know if that was a term in. So we were we stopped at a train store on the way home from somewhere, and they had it, and she's like, "Oh, you have to buy this. It reminds me of home." So I bought it. And then I weathered it up. I weathered it up with weathering powders, so it looked all rusty. And it also has Christmas lights on it.
I was going to say, I saw those.
Yeah, so it has Christmas lights on it. I have to get underneath the layout to actually wire it up, but the Christmas lights with a trailer like that's year-round accuracy. So so I've got it sitting there in the yard as kind of like, that's probably where the crews hang out in between switching and whatnot. Just something to fill that space.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I've just realized I should have changed this episode's title to the switching yard instead of the shunting yard.
Bugger. Oh.
And then we have to talk about this beautiful example of Duke.
Thank you.
Absolutely envious of this. Honestly, it's a lovely rendition. Is there a sort of a story behind this? How did you come by?
So I'm actually gonna blame this one on Rob, because it was Rob who got me into British O gauge trains in the first place, because he was the only one who's really posting in-depth videos looking at British O gauge locomotives and like the undersides and like stuff like that. So it was Rob who got me like, oh, like I can actually model British O gauge, and then he switched to NG7. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I want to try that. Um, so I had like all the ready to run NG7 stuff are all of engines I haven't seen before, in
Mhm.
real life, because I obviously hadn't been to any narrow gauge railways in the United Kingdom. And Duke was always my favorite of the narrow gauge locomotives in Thomas and Friends. I think even one year for Christmas, I tried carving a pumpkin to look like his face. Like that's how much I liked Duke. Um, And so I was scrolling on eBay one day and I found someone who made a 3D printed kit of, a little English. And so all it was the body shell of the locomotive. It came with the tender and wheels for the tender, and that's it. Um, so I did everything from painting to lining the locomotive. I installed a brass whistle. I ordered from the United Kingdom, the custom etched nameplates, installed the handrails on the locomotive, weathered it, and it sits
Looks,
on a retrofitted Smokey Joe chassis.
it looks
So,
amazing.
so it's
And
weathered.
it'll
It's
go at a
Amazing.
got
million miles an hour as well.
yeah, yeah. So it's weathered. It's got a coal load in the tender, and I've been able to. I have HO scale track, so I've been able to run it around in circles before, and it's a lot of fun. So I've got the two Pico coaches for it. Like I said, I still have some work to finish those up. And obviously, between the Festiniog and the Tallyclern Railway, there's a ton of other narrow gauge engines I now want to recreate. And now I want to recreate both the real life representation
Yeah.
and the Thomas and Friends representation. So that'll be expensive. I was able to see prints at the Festiniog and obviously most of the locomotives when I was at the Tallyclyn, including the infamous Tom Rolt. Um, and yeah, so like my head canon is just like, what if the engines existed in real life and didn't have faces? So that's kind of what I was
I
going for with that.
I completely get that. Honestly, uh, eventually I will get round to doing some sort of railway series modeling, and this is exactly how I will depict them. It will be without faces, because as much as I like that aspect of it, I personally think a smoke box looks better. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
and
having a
like
smoke
You're not
box
wrong.
door, it just looks better, and it sounds better to have like every locomotive has a personality, so having a name is normal. You know.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and
as
so
Max
like
says,
like even
Sudrian locomotives without faces is underrated. I think it's the state. I think that's it for adult modeling.
yeah, and like even the standard gauge bridge stuff that I have, I currently have the Class '08. I have Stephanie, which are obviously both characters. I have a 1400, which is still being going through the conversion process, as well as the Pannier on order. So you can kind of see where my interests are with British modeling.
Yeah,
I have to let
gotcha.
the dog out for a second.
No worries. Let's get proto freelance Northwestern Railway. Yeah, exactly. Which Tom caters very well to, or for, should I say, for. Um, we're going to start ramping down. So if you've got any last
Apologies.
questions for RJ, just get them in. Not a problem, mate. You carry on. So Tom's asking if you were at Audrey X.
No, I was actually at the Tallyclyn about 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks after the Audrey Extravaganza. The Audrey Extravaganza looks awesome. Uh, Probably just a little overwhelming for me, and also with it being my first time there, I wanted to enjoy it on a bit more of a calmer day.
I get that. It did look hectic. Good, but hectic.
It looked very
Yeah, it looks like an
claustrophobic for
amazing
everybody
time.
involved.
Yeah, for sure. No, so yeah, again, to reiterate this, it's a fantastic model, and I can't wait to see what else you come up with. And then we'll move on to these these are the last two photos that we have from you. So of course you've got Stepney, which is a model synonymous with the Railway series, and I think it looks absolutely at home here. So you said this is converted to 3-rail.
Yeah, so so what I do is that I buy a DCC ready British O gauge locomotive. And I have a good friend of mine, Sid from Sid's Trains. He also has a YouTube channel. And he's an actual electrical engineer. And to explain the process oversimplified, because I'm not smart enough to actually explain it, is that he puts in a chip to convert the AC power from the track to DC and installs a Bluenami decoder inside the locomotive.
Gotcha.
And then he adds the pickups so it collects the third rail track power. So I've got the class '08. So I recently did a video on it's my latest video. And as you can see, it's got the 3-rail pickups underneath the locomotive.
Gotcha.
So if you go and watch my video, it probably doesn't sound like a class '08. Also, it's missing the ladder on this side because it broke in shipping. But yeah, so this is I love the '08. I was only able to run it once or twice before leaving for the UK. But so that's the newest one to the collection. And
it's great.
I haven't decided if I'm going to keep the BR crest and the number on it yet. To make it look more like the character, but as of right now, I'm liking the BR crest on it and the road number, so I'm gonna leave it for now.
I think the OA is quite possibly the only locomotive I like in BR Black.
Agreed.
I think that's very possible. People are going to kill me in the chat and in the Discord, but I stand by my guns. Oh no, Aaron's here. Time to end. and then explain this last picture here. So of course we're seeing an Amtrak. I'm assuming this is an Amtrak passenger train at the top, and then you've got some. What I'm seeing is stone hoppers.
Yeah, so this picture is actually taken like the day before I left for the United Kingdom. So that's like it's pretty. So it's what my layout looks like right now. Still way too much pink foam, but I got to work on that. So on top there, that is actually a Long Island Railroad passenger train, circa like late 1970s. And so the trains were painted in red, white, and blue for America's bicentennial in 1976. So that's awesome. And then those are ballast hoppers for Amtrak, and that represents the like modern maintenance of way train, which I've got headed by this GP38 behind me. So yeah, these two are my two newest arrivals. And so I got the layout all set up to do a video as soon as I got back. But it's been 6 days and I haven't gotten around to filming it yet. So they're still here and ready to go. And as you can see, that mountain is still very, very barren. So got to work on that. And
You'll get there eventually.
Duke, yeah. And I have Duke just sitting up there to kind of represent the mountain road from not the mountain road, but like the set where it was on the side of a mountain. It's not permanent. I don't have enough room on this current layout to be able to fit an NG7 loop.
Right.
So my current plan is once I get more scenery work done on this is I want to build like a diorama of the Dulgok station on the Tallyclin, just so I'm able to pose them for pictures. But the next layout, I plan to have a scene where it's like a British mainline station, and it allows transfer to the NG7 stuff. So that's the plan for a future layout years down the line once I have my own house and so on and so forth. But yeah, so that's the plan I'm envisioning, so I can actually have and stage British locomotives in a British setting. and have some really weird photos of American trains running through a British station.
Amazing, amazing. So that's brilliant. So those are all the pictures you sent us. So thank you very much for sharing those with us. I honestly, it's a fantastic insight into the behind the scenes of the work that you do, and some good nostalgia points there as well. I think, and I think it reiterates to the fact that rule one is king for this hobby, and it's good to see that nostalgia also plays a part for you as well. Um, so we're gonna start ramping down here. So if you've got any additional questions for RJ, we'll start wrapping those in. So Tom did mention a little while ago. So he said in the UK, most model railway YouTubers seem to know each other. Is it a similar community in the US, but with a larger pool, or is it segregated into regions and things like that? Because I know you've got modelers from all over the country. It'd be a bit difficult to get all of you in a room together.
So I would say it's segregated by scale. So like I don't know a ton of guys who are into HO or Engage. I have my friend group who, we all do O gauge. I would say I'm sure it's the same way in the UK. Where like, especially on YouTube, like all of us O gauge guys know each other. But I would say, we have our own friend groups, largely based on our age slash situation in life currently. So, a lot of the guys who are in college, they're best friends. Guys who are out of
Gotcha.
school have real life responsibility. We're closer. Um, but thankfully for O Gauge, there's two big exhibitions every year, and they're in the same place. I would say the majority of O Gauge guys are in the northeast of the United States, and it's the exhibitions in the northeast. So usually twice a year, the entire O Gauge world descends on this random city in Pennsylvania. And so we're able to all get together and have a good time.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds awesome, and I also think there are definitely some parallels. I think there are definitely some parallels in the UK. A lot of, as Tom said, a lot of YouTube modelers know each other, but I think also within our own groups, I know more Double O modelers than I do Engage modelers. We're trying to work on that. We have the community that we're trying to get back up. We're trying to include as many, and we've got people that model, I would say, almost every scale.
And that's what I love
you
about
know.
the Shunting Yard Discord. On top of it being British, and it's not something I know a ton about, but it's just amazing to see all the different locomotives, all of the different scales between the double O guys and the N gauge guys. You know, the O gauge, the O gauge one. There's tumbleweed sometimes, but it's really nice being able to connect with all those guys from a different country in all these different scales. So,
Mhm.
hats off to you guys for, establishing this community and bring more people together.
Honestly, I have to say, hats off to the community. We opened the door and they just walked in and started to party. So I can't. We can't take credit for that. Quite honestly, we set it up at the beginning thinking, if it works, it works, and some of the modeling that people are doing, and the community are doing great things. So if you're not already part of it and you need another Discord to join, jump in. We'd love to have you. So one final thing here from Aaron. So Aaron's saying, what's your favorite railroad and favorite locomotive from that railroad? Well, you can tell he
That's a
missed the
tough
beginning of the
question.
stream.
So Amtrak is 1A. Amtrak's 1A. The Long Island Railroad's 1B. Like I couldn't imagine not collecting either of those railroads. So from Amtrak, I'll say it's the Acela, which is the high-speed train between Washington D.C. and Boston, which I have a model of. It's really sick. And then for the Long Island Railroad, it's a G5, which is a 460 steam locomotive that was used a lot for commuter passenger services. Um, Very, very iconic, and it's the only Long Island Railroad steam locomotive that has survived to preservation. So another reason why I like it.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer to come back with. Anything else, guys? Anything else, Aaron? Anyone you want to add? I did have something I wanted to ask, and I know that there's been a big merger in the US, and if I know you work for Amtrak, so if it's something you can't or don't want to talk about, you are more than welcome to just tell me to go screw myself. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on
So
now having
this
a
is
Should just tell him to go screw
trans-American
himself anyway.
single company.
this is RJ's train speaking, for the record. So I find it interesting. It's going to go through years of legal challenges and court cases and everything else you can think of. But I would say if anybody else was president, this would have been thrown in the garbage immediately. The fact it hasn't is, you can draw your own conclusions.
Mhm.
Both NS and Union Pacific aren't terrible, but they aren't great when it comes to Amtrak. But uh, we'll see what actually happens. I doubt that it actually goes through, but you never know.
Yeah, that's and that's exactly what I was expecting. It seems to be what say no comment. Yeah. It seems to be what a lot of
It's
people are thinking about right now,
it's
as to whether it will actually happen.
the American freight rail system today is two duopolies, and in a lot of markets, there's only one single railroad, so there's very little competition in general in the American railroading, and if these two railroads merge, then the other two railroads are going to merge, and the next thing you know, you're just going to have one railroad for the entire country. Um, so yeah, it'll be
Which
interesting to see what
I think
actually happens. I think it'll be nothing.
we can tell you from experience, it doesn't work out in the end.
Wait, you're telling me Great British Railways isn't going to work out?
I mean, this is try two.
But
we've already
great
done
this
it
time.
once.
It's great.
It's
great.
great.
It's going to
This
be
is
great.
true. Yeah, Janlet's got it right there. Nationalization after that. Could you imagine United States Railways?
Well, Amtrak is owned by the United States government. It's one
yeah.
of the few private corporations whose majority share owner is the United States government. So, and the United States
Interesting.
government at one point also owned a freight railroad in the Northeast, but they eventually sold it off to Norfolk Southern and CSX. But so the government has experience operating railroads technically.
Okay, see, there you go. More experience than our government, it seems.
Okay, I just want to. So if you guys look, I want what Tom commented. So O gauge, 3-rail O gauge trains, the majority of people who collect it in the United States, as I said before, are older white men. So the amount of O gauge Trump trains that it exists would blow your mind. If you just do a quick Google search of MTH Trump trains, there's probably been 24 wagons and maybe 4 or 5 different locomotives.
Holy! What is this? Hang on, everybody, hang on.
And some of them have like a little figure of Trump as the engineer. Some of them play clips from his speeches, and they sell like hotcakes.
What is this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's.
Oh. Hang on. There's another one. Share this tab instead.
There's more than 2. I can promise you that.
Hang on. What is this stuff? Like, oh,
quick, buy it, James. It'll go lovely on your layout.
Oh no!
Yeah, you want to get a boxcar with Trump's bloody ear? Although I will admit,
thanks. I'm good, thanks. Oh yeah, Finbrook. It's
I
almost as bad as steampunk.
that I would say it's worse
And
than steampunk. But MTH did sell this, which I
I
got just
saw,
because of
yeah, I just saw
how hysterical it is.
that it's a it's a Trump garbage truck.
Yeah,
It's a
and so
perfect
mine's broken.
synonym.
Yes, and so mine's broken, but like the actual ones that work say like this one's for Kamala because she's garbage. I got it just because it's freaking hysterical. A reminder of the messed up times that we live in this world.
So Charlie, it's funny you say that because I could imagine Keir Starmer being on the side of a Great Western Class 800 because they're never on time and they don't live up to promises.
and on that bombshell,
It's time for no, look,
So now we talk about the St. George's cross flag, right?
oh, let's not get into that.
we don't do politics. We don't do politics.
here. We tried to stay away from it as much as possible. No,
I'm just messing with you
yeah.
guys.
Max, all those chunk trains made in China. Ironic. And on that bombshell,
pay the tariff.
Yeah, then you end up paying the tariff for it. That's insane. No, I think, I'm very speechless after that Trump. I did not know
Try
that
to end it
existed.
on a high note.
No, I think that's great. Honestly,
We ended it in chaos, which is all we end.
Lads and I, we're gonna have a laugh about this later, and that's insane. I'm gonna find as many pictures of those as I can, and they are going in the Discord, so all can see, and they will never ever disappear.
That's James's homework for tonight.
No, it's not. I'm going to bed. I'll do it
Me
tomorrow.
too. Me too.
So, RJ, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. Thank you very much for giving us an insight into your modeling and to the world of O in the United States, however backwards it may be.
It's been a pleasure being on with you guys tonight. It's been a real honor. I said, I've really been enjoying the Discord, getting to be able to hang out with some guys at the Severn Valley Railway a couple weeks ago. It's just amazing. So, I'm very thankful for, even though I'm an American, being accepted into your British 00 and Engage community, and very thankful for you
all
guys.
Welcome. No,
you are one of us.
One of us now. That's it. You're stuck with us. So I just want to point out, we did not want to have a conversation regarding your trip to the UK. One, because it's your content. We would rather, I think it's a better thing for people to be able to go to your channel and see it and not, have spoilers here. And two, it didn't relate to O-Gauge, honestly. So I can say we're really looking forward to it. So we can't wait for those videos to come out. Make them anyway. Don't worry about the algorithm. Make them anyway. We want to see everything.
Yeah, like I said, the first video will be about my 2.5 days in Wales between the Talyllyn and Festiniog. I should be done with the editing tonight, so hopefully it'll be out tomorrow. So my channel, RJ's Trains, hopefully it'll be up there sometime tomorrow afternoon American time. So that means tomorrow evening British time.
God, I work with people on the East Coast, and even I get so confused with the time difference. It's insane. I don't know how you do it. No, I'm good. Okay, perfect. So I think that's that. We're going to wrap that up with Trump's trains. Sorry, that's just going to be floating around in my head now for the next 2 weeks. I can see it. So
James, go to bed, mate. Go to bed.
I need to go to bed. So thank you very much for joining us, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let's round it off. RJ, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
On YouTube, if you just search RJ's Trains, I theoretically should come up. Most videos, the thumbnail has my ugly schmuck in the thumbnail, so it should be able to find easily that way. And you can find me on Instagram, rj.trains. And if you go to the Shunting Yard Instagram. I'm tagged in the last couple of posts because I'm here. As well as you can find me on Discord in the Shunting Yard Discord server at rj.trains.
Amazing. And we do have him tagged in the description of this as well, so you can go there and just click that and it'll take you directly to his YouTube channel as well. So
It's just so easy to find him. It's ridiculously
right?
easy.
It's
Right here.
perfect. Literally right in front of us right now. Rob, what about you, mate? Where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube as The Kiln Line, and you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as The Kiln Line.
Go and do that if you haven't done already. Love
Over
it.
to you, James.
I am the Little Western everywhere now, officially.
Officially.
Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube, and now TikTok.
Oh my
Because
god.
apparently that's a thing again. So I thought, why not?
He's on
So-
all of the formats.
I'm all of the forums. Although I'm not on Blue Sky. Is it Blue Sky, the new Twitter-like thing? I don't know. And then
God
there's
knows, man. There's too many of them.
and Threads. Threads is the other thing that's Instagram, but not Instagram. I'm on that as well, apparently. So feel free to go and check those out as well. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. I believe Dan and I will see you next week. But until then, take care, everybody. Have a good night.
See you
Take care,
later.
Good night.
See ya.